Hashem's Vasai Tivtach Ufia Gita Sacha. We're now in the second parak of Nechemiah. In this parak, Nechemiah, the story begins in the Chodesh Nisan. In the Chodesh Nisan is very significant because the Chodesh of Nisan, first of all, the month is called Nisan. We know it's one of the Gullus references of the month as opposed to what we've been used to, which has been Chodesh HaRishon, Sheni, Shlishi, the numbers, which is what it says in the Torah. And that is a sign of Gullus. We have to be remembering that we're in Gullus, and that every time that we think about, it's Rosh Chodesh Kislev, that's a word that represents that it was given to us. It's a Persian reference. It's a reference that we are no longer having our Beis HaMikdash. So it's in Nisan, and we also know that Nisan is a month that is Zoche, that merits that all physical redemptions begin or are impacted by the month of Nisan. And so here it is in the 20th year of our Tachshastra, who is the king, and it is, we know that it is Nechemiah's job to be the cupbearer, and so he's the taster of the wine, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's pouring the wine, and as he's doing it, the Melech says, he was never in a bad mood before, but he looks and he looks forlorn, and the king says to him, Madu panecha ra'im. Now Nechemiah says, I was never upset before. But he's going to give a reasoning why he's upset, and the reasoning has to do with the fact that there's no safety in Yerushalayim right now. That the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash was good, but the walls around are burning, and it's not looking very good. And so he's going to give a politically correct way and reference in order to so-called manipulate the king. But the question is, lo re'iti ra lefanav is significant. I never saw you look in a bad mood before, because really it reminds us of a special halacha. There's a halacha every single day that we have that is that you're supposed to smile. And not even if you're in a good mood, but you have to greet everyone b'sever panim yafos, with a happy disposition. Why are you supposed to fake it? Because it really impacts on other people. And the Mishnah goes so far to say that you should greet everyone b'sever panim yafos, but the pasuk begins kavatem itim laTorah. Did you make time for the Torah? It exactly equates. You should be stopping learning to look up and smile and greet someone with a happy face, because that impacts on them. And if they're having a good day, then what that does for them is that maybe then they're going to study. They're going to learn Torah more because they're going to be in a good mood. And so it is very, very significant. That is a huge mitzvah, and it's really highlighted. But he says, so Nechemiah always appeared to be in a good mood. And the king is like, why are you in such a bad mood? Are you sick? Oh, I know what it is. You must be trying to kill me. Now, this is the king who, in many regards, is pretty good to the Jews. And he is coming up with such an anti-Semitic, deep-rooted way of viewing Jews, and which is, you know what? You're feeling bad because really you're plotting to kill me. So Ba'ira Harbe Ma'od, and Nechemiah says, I was very afraid. When you get to the bottom of the anti-Semitism, the ultimate underlying Esav Sones Yaakov, it's very scary. And so when he gets scared, Ba'omar LaMelech, HaMelech LaOlam Yichya, long live the king. Madua lo yer'u panai asher ha'ir beis hakvaros avosai, charba b'shar reha uklo ba'ish. How could I ever really be happy? Because the burial plots of my forefathers are in ruin, and the walls and the gates have been destroyed from fire. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Why in the world, if he wants to highlight that the Beis HaMikdash is okay, but the environs around it is in disrepair and not safe, why is he talking about the burial plots? So in fact, he really is a very politically savvy man. And he knows that in Persian society, what they respected was the cemeteries. They gave a lot of respect to burial plots. And so he's mentioning what they would find to be interesting and what they would like really hurt their heart. Oh my goodness, the cemeteries have been vandalized? No way. And he doesn't mention Yerushalayim because he doesn't want to highlight the Jewish aspect. Remember, he was just accused of the guy's trying to kill him. So he understands that ultimately, I'm not going to appeal to, oh, woe is the Jew, because that never works. But Yomer li hamelach amazeh atam mevakish. And the king says, what are you asking for? That's Bela Elokei Hashemayim. And what does he do? He starts davening. A little bit off socially, I would say, but the interpretation, many of the Mefarshim say that B'etzpalel Elokei Hashemayim is that he's now going to speak to the king, but the king Artaxerxes is in lowercase. Really, everything that he's saying is really to Hashem, which is the king with a capital K. Va'amar lamelech, perhaps to Hashem, im alamelech tov, ve'im yitab avdecha lefanecha, if you are a good king, and if I find favor in your eyes, right? We know that from Esther, she said almost the exact thing. Asher tishlacheni el Yehuda el Erik varos avosai be'evena ana. And what do I want you to do? If you really care about me, then please send me back to my ancestors' burial plots, and then I can rebuild them. Va'amar li hamelech v'hashegel. And so the melech and shegel, who's shegel? Shegel is either his mother, which could be Esther Malka, if the king is actually Daryavesh, and Hananiah and Nechemiah is Zerubbabel, or Shegel could be his wife. Hayoshevet Eitzlo ad mataya mehelacha umatay tashib. She wants to know, practically speaking, spoken like a true woman, wanting to know, when are you coming back? When are you going to be home? And Vayitav lefanei hamelach, and it was good in the eyes, but in the eyes of the king. Ve'eshlocheni, and so he sent me Matzel Lozman, and after I gave him the time. Va'amar lamelach, and I say to the king, again, im halamelach tov, maybe he's davening, and because he's speaking really to Hashem, knowing fully well be'emunah shalima, he has real bitachon, and it's only Hashem who's going to be able to help him. But let's say he's speaking concretely to this king. Igros yitznuli al pachabos iver hana'ar asher yavruni. Please, I need some letters. And those letters are going to help me to get across to the other side of the Nahar. Ad asher avo Yehuda, because it's dangerous. I need these letters. The letters are going to be able, I can give them to the governors, and so they're going to allow me to pass. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to pass. I'll be stopped. I'll be stopped at the gate. It won't work. Vigeris al Asaf shomer hapardes, and I'll have a letter for Asaf, who is the keeper of the trees of the king, because I need eitzim lekros es shari habira es asher labayis ulachamos ha'ir labayis asher abo alav yitin li hamelch kiyad elokai hatova elai. And so I'm asking for some lumber, and I need trees. I need trees to help to build up what I was saying I was going to do about the burial plots. I need trees to help with the walls of the city, and also I need to build myself something, because if I don't have anything, then I'm not going to have for myself. In order to build, I have to have a place to sleep, or he's going to kind of build an embassy, a place that's going to be good for the king. That in case the king wants to perhaps come. And so I'm going to come to the river, and I'm going to give the letters to the king. And also, please, and the king sent with him officers and army and horsemen. Now, when it came to Nechemiah going up, he's asking for an entourage. He's asking for protection from the king, because he's one in himself, or perhaps with a very, very small grouping. And so he needs it. When it came to Ezra at first thought that there were going to be a huge mass exodus. And so Hashem was going to make miracles, because this was going to be the Geula Asida. This was it. This was what it's going to be all about. And he was very disappointed by how many people showed up. But at the same time, while he was disappointed with how many people showed up, he couldn't then go back to the king. It would be embarrassing to say, oh, by the way, no one showed up, so would it be possible if you can give me some, it's dangerous. I can't do it on my own. And so ultimately, he asked for protection. And Vayishma Sinbalat HaChaironi and Tovia HaEmed HaAmmoni. And so two people, Sinbalat and Tovia, they hear about what's happening, and they were very upset. Asher ba Adam labakish tova l'bnei Israel, that good things are happening to Bnei Israel. Who are they? So Sinbalat, he was from the Shomernim. Remember, those people, and during the time of Sancherib, when after he would conquer a nation, he would switch it there where they would live with another nation. So they would always be off kilter, and therefore no one could rebel against him, and it would weaken the nation. And so here, it's Sinbalat was from the Shomernim. Remember, they don't want anything good happening to Klal Yisrael. They, they want to be. Some say that they want to be a part of building, and they just were creating a real ruckus, and they just don't want anything good happening. And Tuvia, he's an Eved, he's a real slave. Some say that his daughter married the Kohen Gadol, and he wouldn't allow for there to be a get. Remember, we just had that there was intermarriage, so his daughter was the one that actually married the Kohen Gadol. So it's and so he's just a very evil, horrible person, and they don't want any good coming to Bnei Israel. Again, we identify that at the end of the day, we're in Galus, and non-Jews don't want, for us to perhaps to have any advantages. Ba'avo al Yerushalayim, ve'ayesh sham yomim shlosha. And I was in Yerushalayim. He hid it in Yerushalayim, didn't draw any attention. He is a very high-ranked official. He's a well-known guy, but no one knows who he is. He stays by himself. And then ba'akum laila, and he gets up that night. Ani v'anashim ma'atimi, a very small entourage. Below higatzi la'adam ma Elokai noten ali bi'lasot li'Yerushalayim. And I didn't tell anyone what my plan is. Ubeima inimi, and I don't take any animals with me. Kim habeima asher ani rocheba, just the animal that I'm riding on. He's not bringing karbanos in a huge sacrifices. That's not at all what he's doing. And what does he do? And I go through the valley of the gate, and he goes through the Shar HaAshbot. It's not the same one that we have today. It's in a different direction. And and he sees, he's looking that everything is broken and the gates are burned. And so he travels to another gate, and there's no room for any animal to pass through. It's really not looking good. He climbs a steep valley to get a better look, and what he sees, he looks and he sees that it's just everything has been destroyed, and it's not looking good. And then v'hasang banim lo yadu ana halachti, and everybody else, the officers, they don't know where I am and where I'm going. And uma ani yoseh u'liyudim l'kohanim l'chorim l'sanganim l'yeter oseh melacha ad kain lo higati. I didn't tell anyone what I'm doing. And what does he do? And so what he does and what he takes is he takes shober b'choma. He takes either he examines the wall, or he takes the broken piece of the wall, or he actually even breaks the wall so that he can highlight the point that the wall is just really broken. And so what he goes through the whole wall. He kind of examines where the areas are that are broken, and he takes a piece, or he breaks some more, and he's just looking and he's seeing that this is just really, this is bad stuff, and that this is Va'omar lehem atem ro'im hara'a asher anachnu ba asher Yerushalayim chariba u'sharad nitzu ba'esh. How could you do this? Look, do you not see? Do you not see that everything is destroyed? You have to rebuild this. This can't be like this. This is disgusting. This is disgraceful. And so what he's highlighting is perhaps what we know to be true, which is that there's a missing piece to this new Beis HaMikdash, to this new Shivas Tzion. There are missing people, but B, there's the heart and soul is just not there. And so why isn't it bothering people that, or they are too weak? There's nothing that they can do. So either they're weak from the Yetzer Hara, that they're just not holding on their high level, or they're physically weak. Now, he's not in charge of their spirituality. That was an Ezra thing. Nechemiah is the political and the secular leader. And so he's pointing out that we're not in a good position. We have to rebuild. There's more to do. We're not safe. And it's represented and highlighted by the gates and by the environs that, there might be a Beis HaMikdash, but it's by certainly not in a safe position. And so, and he, what does he do? He tells them, okay, so good news. Af divrei hamelech asher amar li. So first of all, agid lahem as yad Elokai asher hi tova alai. I told them that Hashem wants this, and also divrei hamelech asher amar li, and also practically that the king is giving full permission. Va'amru nakum ubaninu v'yachazgu yedei latova. We are going to get up and we're going to build, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to use our hands for good. Now, Sinbalat and Tuvia hear about this. And of course, v'yanigu lanu v'yavzu alinu v'yamru ma davar azeh asher atem osim ha'elam melech atem mordim. And so what do? They insult us, and they try to go against us, and they try to accuse us of rebelling against the king. And so this again highlights what it is to be in Galus. These people are coming, and sometimes it's covertly, but many times it's overtly. And here is an overt representation of they just want bad for us, and they're not going to put up with us building back up ourselves, and they're going to try to wreak havoc, and they're trying to call us that we are rebelling against the king, which is not true. None of it is true. We're doing exactly what the king suggested that we can do. The ashivatam davar. And so here, Nechemiah, in a very poignant way, they wanted very much to be able to help to build the Beis HaMikdash, perhaps to, make sure that the foundations were shaky. And here, he is going to give it to them very, very clearly. And he says to them, Elokei Hashemayim, hu yatzliach lanu. Hashem is going to make us win. Ba'anachnu, and we, abadav nakum, we are going to get up, uvaninu, and our children, ubelachem in chelak utztaka b'zichron Yerushalayim. You don't have a hold on Yerushalayim. You are no longer going to have the right to Yerushalayim. That is ours. And it is, Hashem is going to be the one to save. And he, just like Ezra, is always about Hashem. Hashem is in the forefront, in the plans. He asks Hashem. He is the epitome of what we want in a leader, the one who is making sure that while he is leading the people in a good way, he's not leading them in a way that is full of his own kavod, but rather he's leading them in a way that highlights and represents that is always Hashem in the forefront. And when we have that, then we have everything. Now again, there are some people that say that he's Zerubbabel. And Zerubbabel was a direct descendant of David HaMelech. And so it is a little bit of a hint that maybe he really was Zerubbabel, because truthfully, nobody except for the Malchus David, nobody except for the kingdom of David was able to be buried in Yerushalayim. And so in many ways, if he's highlighting, yes, my fathers were buried in Yerushalayim, then it does pretty much give credence to the idea that he was either Zerubbabel or he is from the Shevet Yehuda. And it is, that's a significant piece, because again, that's not the religious piece. That is the political, that social piece that Nechemiah really, that is his role. His role is not like Ezra. Ezra was completely the spiritual role. And here, Nechemiah's role is in the real world, how he relates to the king, how he relates to the infrastructure around, how he relates to the land, how he relates to the people. He's putting Hashem in the forefront, but ultimately what he's focused on is not on the ruchnius as much as truthfully on the gashmius, on everything else that's going into trying to strengthen the Bnei Israel. And what he notices, again, is that although we have the Beis HaMikdash, and although we are a step closer, we are by no means in this major geula, because there's so much danger. There's danger of anti-Semitism. There's danger that everything is it's not secure. It's not secure physically. And as we had mentioned in Ezra, it is certainly not secure religiously, spiritually. And we will have to see what happens in the next parak.